So XML is markup language. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. Is markup language much like HTML? Hypertext markup language. What is HTML? Where we use it? Whatever the website we open over a browser, Gmail or Yahoo, anything, it's a HTML only. Okay, so HTML basically we use it for formatting the web page, right? So those are things. If you want to insert a box, text box in a web page, that is also using HTML. Okay, and the static content. Okay, if you are reading a story, okay, so that is also HTML. Okay, so paragraphs. So HTML is having predefined tags, guys. It's a TD, TR, some lines would be there. I don't know much about HTML, but like the predefined tags would be there for row, for line, for paragraph, and for body, something. Okay, so for everything we have a predefined tags. So every tag would perform some set of functionality. That's it, HTML. Okay, so for every web page we use HTML. Okay, and what is XML? Extensible Markup Language. In XML we don't have any predefined tags. Okay, so everything will be custom tags. No predefined tags, but we will be having custom tags. Okay, in HTML, what it does, it just go to the server and get the data and displays in the browser. This is what HTML does. But what about XML? XML is not for like a display, guys. It's like a exchange of data between two applications or something like some browsers as well. Okay, if some browser, okay, you are calling a API. Okay, like I told you, I want to integrate some cricket score application. Okay, from Star Sports. Okay, I will buy that and get it integrated in my website. Okay, so in some part, I just integrate that score in some part. That's it. Then what I have to do? I have to use this XML because SOAP works only on XML. And in that XML, what I need to read, so what are the fields I have to send in the request, what are the response fields. So those are fields I have to get it using WSDL. Okay, we have a WSDL, right? WSDL, Web Service Description Language. Using that WSDL, I will get to know what are the fields available in the request, what are the fields I have to fill while sending a request, and what is the response I got. I will be getting from Star Sports. Okay, so those are all the details. I get those details and use that service and parse that XML and display it on my browser. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, so the backend, the service will call that web service, call that server or Star Sports web service using an XML, and it will get the response using an XML. Okay, once you get that XML, what you have to do, you have to apply some XSLT, extensible style sheet language transformation, right? That you have to apply, and you have to parse through that XML and create some more HTML tags. Okay, like India is India's code, this, and bowling, like that. Everything would be there, and we have to read those tags. Okay, and what are the tags available? We will get to know from WSDL, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So HTML is mostly like a static content, guys. So whatever the web page or web browser we access, it's like a HTML. Okay, HTML, we don't use it in our integration purpose. We just mention like XML is a markup language, much like HTML. Only for that purpose, I have mentioned HTML, but we don't work on HTML. We only work on XML. Okay, why? Because we are working on the business data. Okay, the data to exchange between one application to another application, we use XML, right? Not HTML. HTML we do not use to send business data from one application to another application. XML we use XML for exchange of business data between two applications, two business partners, or anything. XML was designed to store and transport data. So XML is designed like, so it is designed like what? It is designed with a few tags, custom tags, and we fill the data. Like if in case of order, purchase order, we'll fill the data like what is the item code, what is the quantity, what is the price from the quotation, okay, and the quantity and the weight, everything will be storing it in tags, custom tags. Okay, first we store the data in XML, and then we use it to transport data, okay, from one application to another application. That is XML. XML was designed to be self-descriptive. So why it is self-descriptive? So if you see the XML, this is the XML. Okay, if you see here, name is John. So by seeing the tag name, we'll get to know like, so the employee's name is John and employee ID is JON123. And what is job level? What is his job level? Engineer. What is his department? Finance and tax. So it's like a self-descriptive. So based on the type of data, we define the element name. Okay, so it's a self-descriptive. XML is a W3C recommendation. Okay, what is W3C? World Wide Web Consortium. That's recommendation. XML is openly used. Okay, in most of the cases, XML was there since so many years, so many decades, I would say. Okay, so this is how the XML is like. So it's a kind of custom only. There won't be any standard XMLs or like that. Okay, it's XML employee records. Okay, these can be multiple records. N number of records would be there. Okay, if you have multiple records, employees, you can wrap all the employee records under employees node. Okay, like that also you can make it. Okay, so this is let's go and prepare one XML document. How to prepare it? Let's see. Jagdish, can you see my screen? Like I have opened Notepad++. Can you see my screen?
No, no, sir.
No, 1 second. Let me. Now I hope you can see.
No, actually. Now we can see.
Yeah, thanks for confirming. Okay, let's take a employee records or students record. Let's take a students records. Okay, so this is a XML document, Notepad++, guys. You can also install, if you have personal laptops, you can install it. Okay, and here I'm taking student First name is Krishna. Name is Chaudhary. Age 22. Batch CPI. Okay, like this we can, or else we can wrap it under student. Student. Okay, so here students is the root node. Under that, student is the subnode. Okay, subnode will be having individual student records, and students will be having consolidated student records. That means all the student records will be consolidated under students root node. Okay, let me copy this. Control C, Control V. Here. Like this, we can have multiple records as well. Okay, so now what I have created. Okay, using my knowledge, using my preferences, I created root node, I created subnode, and under that subnode, I have created elements. F name is full name, L name is last name, age, batch. So these are all self-descriptive. Okay, so I know like what is F name. So that's why I just created as F name. Or else you don't, if you don't know that full name, you can give the full name FULLNAME. So whatever you understand, you can give it like that. Okay, so basically we will be this will be generated based on the business requirement, not with our knowledge. Okay, so if we have a purchase order, PO number, okay, PO item, PO quantity, like that we can give. Okay, so if we have to create a XML, so we can create like this. Okay, so in CPI, guys, we face many situations where we have to create our own XML. Okay, so you should be
Yes, sir.
aware of like how to create an XML and how to create a XSD. Those kind of things you must be aware of. Okay, so please be careful. Okay, and learn properly XML and XSD, those all those things. What are those things? Okay, so that is a simple XML. Next topic is XSD. The XML schema language is also referred to as XML schema definition, XSD. XML is a markup language much like HTML. That's the same thing. So what is schema? Schema
Best
is
It is
like
practice.
a design. It is design, sir. Design
yeah, design,
or format.
format,
Structure.
Yeah, standard
structure.
format. Standard format for the XML doc.
document.
It's not standard format. It's a schema actually. XML Schema Definition. That's it. Okay, so
It's like a blueprint.
what, Jagdish?
Uh, Actually, schema is like a blueprint. It's
Yeah,
a design.
exactly. Exactly. It's like a blueprint only. Okay, so let's say, so everyone knows Java, right? Java, ABAP, you are having some experience in those. And so if you want to create a structure, even in ABAP, okay, if you have to create a structure, what would you do? You will create elements, and in that elements you will choose char10, char20, date, numeric, right, string type. So there are data types, so multiple data types you combine in a structure and you use it as a structure, right? Here XML XSD also the same. Okay, so here what we have created in our notepad, we have created a student records with 4 elements. Okay, so here I have created with randomly. Okay, so but if some application, okay, if we have some application, if some Java application or else some .NET application, they have provided some schema. What is that schema? So if we have to follow this particular uh, format, like you cannot use f name, you have to use full name, like full name like this. Okay, so those set of rules will be defined by a schema, XSD, XML schema definition. So anytime we consume a web service or API, okay, that associates with some XSD. Okay, what is that XSD? It will help us to identify what is the root node, what is the sub node, and what are the elements in that, and what are the elements are mandatory, what are the elements are optional. Okay, so these are all we can define. Okay, we have to follow. So the rules have to be followed to form a XML is defined in that XSD. Okay, so let me open any XSD if I have. Hope you can see one XSD here. Ashok, can you see?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So this is a sample XSD, guys. So this contains a root node. Target records is the root node. Okay, under that, this is what type of it is. It's a complex type, and the sequence means so the set of elements. So the sequence contains created by class, source application, and target application. These are all the elements. Okay, so these are all the elements under target records node, and these elements of type what we can get to know like here. XS string created by XS string. It's a string type. Okay, and class is a byte. A class can be a unsigned byte, like 10, it's a number, right? So that is why it is unsigned byte. Source application, it's again a string type. And target application, it is again unsigned byte. Okay, so based on if we have like uh, one date element is there. Okay, element name is equal to element name is DOB and type is equal to access colon date and min occurs is equal to, I can make it mandatory by making it 1. After this, close the tag. That's it. Okay, I just added one date of birth DOB element here. Okay, if you want to add one more, I can still add it. Access colon element name is equal to gender. Type is equal to access colon string. And min occurs is equal to 0, or even you can ignore it. If you ignore it, it will make it as mandatory automatically. Okay, so like this you can manually edit a XSD. Okay, so this is one way to edit a XSD. Okay, if you get some XSD and later on if you have to add one more element somewhere, you can directly go there and you can add it. Okay, so the simple things you have to learn, guys. You don't have to learn like from the scratch, like you don't have to build a complete XSD, but if you can edit the XSD and add some elements in between, but that will be well enough. Okay, so let's say I have this students XML. So for this, I want to create a XSD. So what I have to do, I can go to any of the website. Okay, let me share. I'm just going in a browser and searching for XSD generator. I'm just going into any of the website. Okay, here, copy paste your XML document here. You just paste your XML sample XML document here. Click on generate XSD. Here I got the XSD. Copy to clipboard. I'm going back to my notepad and pasted the XSD. So how it is created? Students is the root node and it's a node. So that's why it is having complex type and sequence. And in sequence, we have only student node. Again, different nodes. Okay, under the student node, it's again a complex type and sequence. And the student sequence contains multiple elements. Okay, so what are these element types? Whether it is elements can be a complex type or a data type directly. String type, here byte, it has taken like this. Okay, and you can make it optional, like here you can add min occurs is equal to 0. Okay, with this I made it as optional. That means if this f name is not available, okay, then it should not throw an error. It should ignore. Okay, but when you make min occurs is equal to 1, okay, last name is mandatory. It's a mandatory field now. So if you don't pass L name, then it will throw an error. Okay, and student, the record node, the node of student, it is having max occurs unbound and min occurs 0. So that means it can be ignored and it can be repeated multiple times, in number of times. Right? Here we have 3 student records, Krishna, Vivek and Vijay. Right? So that's why it is unbounded. Okay, so based on this knowledge, your basic XSD knowledge, you should be able to edit the XSD. Okay, so if you have a sample XML, you can directly go to any of the website and you can directly convert it. Okay, and you have to add these min occurs based on your requirement. Okay, so this is XSD, guys. So simple XSD, how to create. And if you want to go into deep and learn more things about schema, that is very well appreciated, but not required. Okay, if you know the basic thing like how the XSDs gets formed, okay, and how to edit the XSD, okay, so that is well enough. Okay, if you are having a existing XSD and if you want to edit that, if you want to add a extra element in that, you can go and directly change it instead of re-importing the XSD, get the XSD from uh, partner. Okay, so that will take some time, right? So if you know the path, you can directly add it. Okay, so only thing is we will save some time instead of we can reduce the dependency of the partner and we can directly create our own like that. Okay, so that is XSD. Any questions? The purpose of an XML schema is to define the legal building blocks of an XML document. So how the XML should be formed? So this is defining. Okay, so this is the XSD, guys. So this is how the employee record should be created. Employee XML should be created. So if anything like instead of name, if we send F name, it won't accept it. Okay, so the names of the element should be matched and type should be matched. Okay, so if you are like date of birth, we defined it as date field, right? If we send like Jan 2021, okay, that won't accept it. It should follow some date format. Okay, you cannot define your own. Okay, if you want to define on your own, you have to define it as string instead of date format. So what are the formats allowed by date field? Date type will only be allowed in that field, or else it will get failed. The validation will get failed. Okay, the elements and attributes that can appear in a document. So these are elements, and even we can define an attribute as well. Okay, so here in student node, we can add a attribute like any attribute, college, or else primary school. School, make it as primary. Okay, here school is equal to secondary. So this is the attribute. So student who belongs to primary school are these two students, and secondary school only one student. Attributes. Attributes means this can be applied for all the elements and this node as well. Okay, so school secondary for all these elements, all these records, all this record, second record. Okay, so this is how we can define an attribute. Attribute also similar to elements itself. Okay, we can define that. Okay, now let's convert this in line. Now copy to clipboard. Here what it is, one attribute got created. So where this got created? Outside the sequence. Okay, within the sequence we only have elements, not the attribute, and the attribute is at element level. Okay, so under this element we can define an attribute. Okay, student is of type student is from this, he belongs to school this. Okay, primary school or secondary school, like that. Okay, so these are all the attributes. Attributes are like characteristics of the data. So that is XSD, data types for elements and attributes. So these are the data types, majorly the data types we define. So how the sequence should be followed. Sequence means under that node, what are the elements are allowed and what type of data types it belongs to. So those are all the set of rules we define in a XSD. Okay. So any questions, guys? XML, XSD.
Once can you repeat that min occurs in XSD? What's the use of it?
Okay, sure. So here, student records, how many are there? 3. And apart from this, I can define n number of more. Any number, I can define it. Okay, so how can I define that? Like any number of records I can create in for student node. How can I make that? I can make that using unbounded max occurs. So max occurs I defined as unbounded here. Okay, so that I can create any number of student records. Okay, and now coming to the sequence. Okay, here last name I can make it as min occurs is equal to 0. Okay, with this, what I'm doing, I can remove the last name. Okay, for few records, I made these optional. I can remove it like this. Okay, let me go to W3 schools. XML against XSD. Okay, let's validate this. Okay, and just copying the XML here and XSD schema. This is what the schema checks XSD validity. XML is valid. Okay, here let me remove this minakkars for L name. Okay, and I removed this L name minakkars, and here I removed L name for few fields. Okay, let's check XML will form. When I click on validate XML against XSD, this element is not expected. Expected is LA. Okay, for three records, we don't find L name. Okay, now let's keep this in this. Okay, I just copied the L name in all those three. What I got? XML is valid against the given schema. Okay, similarly, let's remove the max occurs. Max occurs for the root node. Validate XML. What it is saying, the student element, this is not expected. So this is not giving properly, but when it is when it sees the second occurrence, it is saying the element is not expected. The student record is not expected. Okay, now when I make it max occurs unbounded, then again validate, it will say the schema is valid. Got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you must understand this, guys. This is very important. Max occurs, min occurs. Okay, simple thing. If you don't understand, then let me know again. I will explain you. I will try to explain in a different way. Okay, but this is very important. So, like in XML, we would be having like in employee data. Okay, so preferred name would be there. So preferred name is not mandatory, but first name, last name are mandatory for any employee, right? And the age is also very important. Blood group is not mandatory to know for a company. Okay, and the same like previous experience. If you are joining as a fresher, then previous experience won't be there. So previous experience is okay, is not a mandatory thing. We have to make it as min occurs 0. Why? Because if you don't have previous experience, you cannot maintain previous experience in the XML, right? So there we have to make it as min occurs 0. And the same time, if I have multiple experience, like I've worked in 6 companies prior to this company. Okay, so all those 6 companies experience I have to maintain. So in that case, I have to make my previous experience as unbounded. I cannot make it as only one, because my previous experience can be unlimited, unbounded. So that is how I made it as unbounded. Okay, so based on the expectation, based on the requirement, we can make this max occurs and min occurs. Okay, here for F name, it is mandatory, right? So if we delete F name for anything, okay, for Vivek, let's remove the F name, okay, but it is expecting fname as a mandatory because min occurs 0 is not there. So it is expecting as mandatory. Now let's validate the L name. The element is not expected. Expected name is fname. Why it is giving fname as expected? Because fname is not there. If I place it again, validate it again, XML is valid against the given schema. Okay, that is validating XML against XSD. And one more is also there, well-formed XML. So well-formed XML means the tags and everything, open and close of tags, everything is correct or not, it will check. Okay, let's suppose I'm just deleting this tag, student tag, close tag. Okay, for the second record, I'm just deleting the close tag. Now let's click on check XML well formed. What it is saying, opening and ending tag mismatch, student line 8 and students. Premature end of data in tag students line 1. Okay, now place it. Now check well formed XML. XML is valid. Okay, so it's a simple check like opening of elements, closing of elements, and this is also primary also. Okay, the quotes, if it is not mentioned. Extra content at the end of the document. So whatever it is giving, okay, so it's not giving properly, but okay, it is giving some error. Okay, primary I'm making, it is valid now. Okay, so XML and XSD, you must understand these two things. XSD is like it's a schema for XML. So when you define a XML, it should follow set of rules. What are the set of rules? Set of rules defined by a XSD. It's a contract, kind of a contract. Okay, so it should follow that contract. If you send it different element names, so that cannot be accepted by the server. It will throw an error. So like we have seen here, right? So same error, it will be thrown there. So XML, XSD, validation, and valid XML, validation against XSD, data types, min occurs, max occurs. So these are all mandatory to learn, guys, because most of our cases, our interfaces would be around XML, XSD, VSTEL, EDMX, etc.